All right. The next speaker is Franz. Most
Awesome.
on the call, no Franz. I'm gonna keep this intro short. Franz is a very he's much more interesting that comes on the surface if you know him through ATG. You see, this guy's he's just a wizard with movement. And yeah, once I met him in person, it was a much I had a much bigger shift of who he really is. Obviously, he's an absolute wizard with movement. He's been studying it since he was maybe 15 or 16, and he has pretty much over a decade of really studying this stuff and applying it. So that alone makes him very, very unique. But then you get deeper into his world, and you see he's like a CEO. He has a team of people working for him. He has a tech background. He's pretty much, I don't know how he does it. He has high energy. His energy is basically it's as good as his mobility, if not even better. Um, and yeah, I'm pumped up to. I think he is Batman undercover. So uh, I see big things for him. I feel like this man is probably going to be a billionaire within 10 years. I mean, the way he thinks about the world and the projects he's working on. He's a very confident man. He's done a lot with his life already. So super excited to hear from him about productivity.
Thank you. Awesome. I appreciate the super humble introduction. Not much to add there. I don't know if I can agree to everything, but I feel honored. So let's get started right away, I would say. I have a little, wait a second, is the screen share? Yeah, it's working perfect. I have a little presentation ready about coaching tech solutions.
We
So I'll
can't
give you like,
see we can't see the presentation though. I
oh
don't know
yeah,
if
it's loading. Sorry, I was
Oh,
already
okay,
talking.
cool.
So yeah, I have a little presentation ready about coaching tech solutions. Let me just adjust my camera so that I actually talk with you. So the idea today is we're diving into some coaching tech solutions that I came up with over the years. I'll start with my own background, as well as my coaching background. I'll present a few problems and solutions to you, which will lead into 3 helpful tools. But we can also keep it very Q&A style. I'll try to keep it as short and simple because, as Max was saying, my mind is kind of like always everywhere and there's so many possible solutions. So let's get started. This is the super short version, but essentially my grandpa was into IT. Who knows it? He was doing assembler programming, so very, very basic, close to like the electrotechnical programming. He was just programming electrical heater for the size, like German optics company here in my hometown. But I had an early exposure to tech, although this meant I was mainly playing some fun video games, drawing some stuff in Paint, and so on. Um, Originally in 2006, I started training. I was 12, 13 years old, just wanted to get buff. I did play soccer and stuff before, but like training in the sense of moving weights, doing sets and reps is what I started at the age of 12, 13, something like this, 2006. And 2010, I had my first little training group. This was just friends training together and asking me some questions. The reason why they asked me a question is because I always had an answer. And the reason that I always had an answer was that I had a lot of questions that others weren't able to answer. So my solution was to study and learn stuff myself, to answer myself, and eventually others. Then in 2012 to 15, I actually studied IT. I didn't finish it, so I'm a good college dropout. I just had my bachelor's thesis left, but I felt like it's not going to be my future, although now I'm thinking differently about this. Um, I studied IT with a topic in computer linguistics, so I had a lot of language studies and yeah, interesting side topics that still feed into how I view coaching nowadays. And then in 2017, I moved from my small hometown to Berlin. By the way, I'm from Germany, if I haven't mentioned it before. And I worked there in full-time coaching for a little non-profit organization. Did a little bit of my own coaching on the side. And then eventually in 2020 joined Real Movement by Keegan Smith, who then eventually employed me in late 2020. And then early 2021, this whole thing transitioned into ATG for Coaches, a big athletic and rehab coaching certification platform from Ben Patrick, Nisovatowska, who doesn't know him, likely very few of you. But yeah, since then I'm working for them. From the beginning, it was a very interesting experience to see the Stringer certification grow over time. My coaching, by the way, this is a fun picture like of me like at the age of like whatever 16, 18. I had an okay physique, but I never had a good camera, so this was always my Achilles. I wasn't able to get good pictures, and still nowadays you won't find a lot of social media content from me, mainly because I'm a little bit lazy in social media and usually not much in front of a camera. But over time, even these weak links changed. But yeah, as I said, 2010, I had my first training group in gymnastics and calisthenics, which was my main occupation besides the whole like movement world. And then I started to go a lot around through a lot of forums and started to free coaching via forums. One of the most common ones was a German one, Calisthenics Germany, where we did like online coaching, like you know it from like many doing online coaching in the movement world. But this was just emails, forum messages. There were no push notifications, so you had to check your emails to see if there was an answer in the forum. YouTube videos uploading like lowest footage, low quality. The worst footage we're nowadays getting with ATG for coaches was still awesome compared to what the stuff that we were working with back then. And then the good old spreadsheets. So having Excel spreadsheets, writing the training programs there, mailing them to a client, they fill in their stuff, and every week or month they send it back, and you go back and forth with this stuff. Like carrier pigeons would be not far off from what we were doing. In 2017, I started a nonprofit organization. Although it was nonprofit, we did a lot of coaching. Sometimes I did 2-3 hours of coachings every day, just in the group training, beyond like the private coaching and everything. But it gave me a lot of insights and started to get me back into tech, because we wanted to build a huge movement academy where you could search movements, find relations, and eventually build like a huge map of movements that you could use some pathfinding or routing algorithms to find the best way to your goal. Now, if you're coming from the strength training world, you're like, why should I find a route? If you come from calisthenics or acrobatics, you know, like most moves are learned through other moves, and these moves are learned through easier moves again. So to get to a move, it's oftentimes a list of progressions to go through. And that's something we try to solve over time and go into. And then after some time there, I slowly moved out of there because I wasn't really paid and I wasn't able to sustain myself. So in 2019, with a close friend of mine who's now my employee, I started to relaunch my own online coaching. In the beginning, I literally spent 20 hours a week to rebuilding my online coaching with one client, filming all of the videos, and he paid me $50. So I got less than $1 per hour, but it was more about building it, and then slowly the clients rolled in. One of the things that I was super interested, I found the first coaching software publicly available back then. And then I tried to test out all of the different coaching softwares for training online coaching, usually building a program, advertising it, getting like 10 to 20 clients in, and then testing all of the features of the platforms. Over the years, I spent nearly 10 grand on the monthly fees of like testing all of these softwares. It's definitely not the most effective thing. But what I learned is we have nice coaching software out there, but you have to pick the right software for your use case. And there's not a good all-in-one software. And the best story that backs this is Ben with his like 10,000s of clients online coaching, who used TrueCoach. Many of you may have joined TrueCoach in the past, but they were doing an awful service. They were not progressing, advancing the software. You can look into some public numbers, you'd see how much money they're making, but the features being added are very little. So that was one of the reasons why Ben was building his own coaching software. And that's still one of the reasons why I say like most coaches are oftentimes better off using a platform and then individualizing it and customizing it to improve their coaching. And then, yeah, the final step was in 2021, I started to work for ATG for Coaches. I was single-handedly doing the certification department for 18 months roughly until we merged with ATG. So there were times where I had 500-600 coaches submitting just to me, who was still a beginner back then. So I had to figure out how am I going to handle all of these coaches? How am I going to pull this off, get feedback, get my timings right? I was like struggling to get back in a week and get everything done. And then I saw ATG doing it like in 24 hours, for sure, with like 10, 30 times the stuff that I had, being just myself. But it was a super interesting experience. And a couple of the tools that I want to introduce you to are coming from these steps in my coaching, from the early days with the worst communication, to trying to do a lot of calls with ATG for Coaches members and trying to keep my whole schedule live, because I was having calls with coaches from Australia and the US. So I had like 8 to 12 hours of time difference in both directions, still trying to make all calls happen. So I'll want to show you 3 helpful tools. But to start with this, if you're a coach and you want to start to use some tech, first you need to identify two like main important things, which are what I call the business bottlenecks. So most businesses have a certain bottleneck. This is usually that part of the business that is essential for scaling, for example, how you're servicing your clients, but it's currently the maximum weak link. Honestly, I believe many coaches still have the issue of marketing and acquisition being their issue. So getting enough clients. We oftentimes have more hours to fill than we have clients. But at a certain point, you come into different areas where you can say, I only get clients if I charge less than 100 per client per month, for example. But what the client expects for the $100 is something I can't deliver in the amount of time that I would like to spend only to stay on my hourly rate. And then the second thing is, which becomes a bit like more advanced in the future, what I call workers' weak links. You might have employees, you might have freelancers, business partners. Everyone has certain strengths, but also weak links. And as a solo entrepreneur, we oftentimes have to fill all functions. So we do the marketing and sales, we do the calls, we kind of service the clients, we film the stuff. I was just chatting with Max. He was like outsourcing some of the video creation to a friend of him, outsourcing videos. But the thing is, you have to identify your weak links. And then best case, you can use some software, some tech to improve these weak links. Because if you have one super big weak link, like your marketing, your videos are shit, and you can't get them to work, no matter how good you're in servicing, if you don't have the clients, it's not going to happen. But at the same time, what we want to avoid is what I struggle a lot with. I like to optimize things and think a lot, but this can oftentimes lead into paralysis through analysis. So you don't want to spend half your business time trying to improve your business and make everything perfect. I've been there. Like in the past, I thought I needed the best software. Now, 5 years later, when I was servicing 30 times the clients in half the time, I realized I was also quite lazy and unskilled. I didn't have the skills to do it. But still, there's certain weak links that I solve with text nowadays that I wouldn't like to miss. So let's get started. One of the first problems that I always had is around the world of communication. So most online coaches require a good amount of communication. This is the amount of messages you're sending out, how quickly you can reply, how many messages you can send out, like all of these different things. AI is not there yet, at least with the stuff that we know. Like text bots are cool, but if you ever interacted with an AI text bot that is for a business, not ChatGPT that you're asking a question, but a general one, like a chatbot is not going to do the form coaching for you or find the right fix for someone's needs. I tried this a lot. It's not going too great currently. So FAQs and standardized documents won't cut it either. You can try to have the best FAQs, but I can tell you everyone noticed that you have an AI there, and they won't be happy to pay premium prices. So the way the approach that I like to do is keep the humans in the game, keep them in communication with the clients, the customers, the leads, prospects, but augment them. And a simple solution, Max, I saw you use this as well, is text replacement. So if you use a Mac, you can have a text replacement. That's an example here. For example, I always use slash, so I don't by accident like replace important letters in my text, but /AJ is for awesome job. You slowly get used to this stuff so quickly that your brain starts to think in other messages, not writing awesome job, but AJ anyway. You see, I have stuff like here, awesome job, anterior pelvic tilt, ATG back squat. The cool thing is, if you're not on iOS, there's a lot of software you can use on any other OS or on any Mac OS, iOS, whatever. If you're on the Mac ecosystem, the fun thing is this synchronizes between your devices. So I can go on my phone and type in, if I'm chatting with someone, /ATGSS, and it replaces with ATG split squat. This keeps my error rate down. It keeps it clean. It's simple. I don't have to take too much attention into like spelling and uppercase, lowercase, and all of this stuff. This is one, like it's a German word, but this is like my business number for one of the 100 German bureaucracy hells that we have to go through. So I always have one of my business numbers available just with this quick one. But the problem is you have to memorize all of these. And when I was trolling Max, I saw him like go through all of these and use these. But as far as I know, he was memorizing hundreds, if not over 1,000 shortcuts for all of his feedback. Now, if you're kind of genius like this, like Max, kudos. If not, let's move on to what I found. That one is called Text Expander. It's a super simple software that works like this on any device, across devices. It's simple to set up, but it's fully searchable. What I mean with fully searchable is you can just put up a console. You just have a shortcut. If you want to, I can show you this one as a quick thing, just so you have a little insight. Let me share the screen. So in this document right now, I hope you can see it. I just have some stuff in here, and then I can pull up my command. I hope you can see it. Do you see like the search window?
No, we can't see the search window. Are
Okay,
you like?
then I'll
Yeah, we can only see
talk
the
about tech
screen.
solutions. I'll just move it to the different screen. So here we go. I'll just use like my messages. Super simple. I can pull this up, and now I have my search function. So I have like something, for example, someone is like interested in ATG for coaches. So I have like a message here that explains everything about ATG for coaches, like all of the stuff you want to do. So it's like fully searchable. It puts a link in everything. I can say like, oh, I want to like complement a certain movement. So and this is a different chat messenger. So I'm in my WhatsApp now, I'm communicating with someone. Okay, I go in, I want to change something about the ATG split squats. I have my shortcut. It's about the rear foot. And now I have my rear foot fixes as like super short fixes. I can still keep it human and like change the wording, interact with the person and all of this stuff, but I can simplify it up to the point that what I was showing here on the screen, you can actually have drop downs. So I have a message where I can have different drop downs. So if I'm a little bit thinking ahead, I can have one message that changes aspects of it with a drop down, leading into like, for me, it was cutting down my response time by under 50%, like up to 75%, so at a fourth of the response time, just spending time keeping my library live and going. And the searchability is super simple. This tool is $5 a month. I would literally say this allows me to double to triple my monthly revenue in online coaching, and not just me, but my employees doing the coaching for me as well with such a tool. And the fun thing is I use it for coaching. You can use it for your cold DMs, for social media, for emails, for anything that you want to use it. It's communication. It's not just coaching. So if you want to optimize your communication, have long messages, there you go. I'll keep it brief and simple. Next one, second problem, task management, scheduling, and so on. Calendars are usually key for organization. I don't know what type of task management you use. I know many schedule their tasks, and they also have meetings going into these, and then you schedule a task, but you already booked a meeting with someone. How do we organize a flexible calendar with tasks, projects, and so on? An amazing solution I came across in the beginning of the year is called Reclaim. That's an AI-based calendar that allows you to do meetings, tasks, and everything in between with like smart scheduling. What I mean with smart scheduling is, I'll show you in a second, you can put in a task, you see it here on screen. Let's say the task is, I want to, I'll show you live. It's better to show live. So I have a new task, and that is like follow up on presentation, because maybe some of you are reaching out to me afterwards about all of the tools. I know this is going to be 1 hour. No, let's say this is going to be 2 hours. I want to work a maximum of 1 hour to stay focused and a minimum of 30 minutes. Draw a web back for my working hours, and I want it done by Thursday. What it's going to do, it's going to create this task quickly, and then it starts to schedule it into my calendar. So within a couple seconds, it's going to start to rearrange my calendar. All of the purple stuff you see in here is already like my task, my to-dos and everything. So I can go into this week, I have my week here, and then I have like all of the purple stuff are like smart schedule things. The amazing thing is why this tool is so crazy, it still shows the availability of everything that I do to my clients. So I can say this is an important or unimportant task. And if it's unimportant, and today or tomorrow Max wants to book a call with me, it's going to reschedule my task and show the availability to Max, who doesn't need to do a call. So that's one of the biggest things that I was struggling with. A lot of calls, a lot of tasks. I didn't fully know how long they go. You can just like prolong the duration of the task. They will reschedule them, prolong them, put them in there, but you can determine the availability. It works with daily habits. So every day I have a fixed time block, depending on where and when I do my stuff with my clients. for ATG for coaches submissions, getting back to emails and everything. This is a super simple tool. Again, I think it's $5 or $10 a month. I think it works much better than Calendly because it solves the task issue as well, and you can still integrate it with anything you want to. Last one, organization. I'll keep it brief here as well, but like, how are most interpreters starting? Solo, you're on your own, you don't have a team. Bootstrapping, not much capital to employ people, to do a lot of stuff, and not so experienced. So technically, you want an adaptable software that grows with you, with your needs, that helps you to organize some tasks and projects, keep your notes there, help you with communication, that allows you to create databases for your contents, files, and CRM, to track your clients and everything, and potentially even help you with brainstorming. The software I'm going to show you is no surprise. That's a Notion. Maybe some of you don't know it, but Notion is an absolutely amazing tool. Max has a course on Notion as well that's likely worthwhile to check out as well. I just wanted to show you a couple of the applications of Notion to hopefully give you some insights how you could use it from simple to advanced. Just keep in mind, if you want to use it, it's a simple note-taking app. So start to use it for note-taking and then expand from there. I had so many people to start with like a template with 30 features and within 4 weeks be overwhelmed. Slowly build your way up, step by step. Start to take notes, then gather your notes in databases, and then you can end up with something that I'm going to show you. I use Notion for nearly 3 years now. So let's get started. These are just a couple brief insights, but this is a brief for my developer to help me brief my software development that I created in a couple minutes, shared with them. It had embedded diagrams and stuff like this that we need for online coaching. We are working on like a big coaching project in which we mentor gyms in different projects. This is our whole hub and dashboard. We have meetings, product development, organization, teams, branding, everything in one organized like main space, and then we can go in there and find everything. I'm tracking feature ideas. Whenever I have a new idea for a feature, I can put it here. The most amazing thing is I have a web clicker. So if I'm on a website, I can just hit one button. It's going to send it right away to my Notion feature idea feed. So if I see a different software, different coaching program, I track it in my database as well with one click from my browser. I'll just scroll through here. Some of my clients just want one piece of information. So I quickly wrote a jumping framework that they can train with. I created a couple of example sessions, gave them a lot of options. And here comes the magic that I want to show if you really want to use it. I can use the Notion AI and tell the Notion AI, create an example session for a beginner with low effort. And what it's going to do, it's going to, out of my document, create a full example session, just based on ChatGPT and the information that it provided for my jumping training that I created here. This is literally created from everything I wrote down. So if you use something like Notion as your knowledge base, your AI can start to draw from your knowledge base and literally write training sessions for your clients that actually make sense. And then the last two ones, like for projects, we talked about my low talent with films and edits. For like a big handstand program that we're currently developing, we have like a huge video library, but to track all of the filming and editing, we have this database where we're tracking everything from the recordings, whether we have the voiceovers done, scripted and recorded, what tools are needed for the shoots, whether a wall is needed or some elevation. The options are completely limitless. I have like my client here, one of my clients in my CRM. So this is my client where I track the information for them. I have all of the sessions that they're doing. So I can go into my calendar, track the sessions. I can sort it by what are the unpaid ones. So you see how much he was not paying so far. 36 sessions by times $100. I can easily write an invoice. I can track it, what we did, how we did it. Yeah, you can do anything you can dream of with Notion. It's just a question of like starting slowly and building it over time, connecting with other coaches to see how they're using it, and then building your own second brain. So to not go much more over time, any questions, any feedback?
I think it was a great presentation. I would love to hear if anybody has questions. Garrett?
What's your motivation, man? Where do you find the energy and passion for all this effort?
So this is a topic I wanted to talk about because Max was saying the same thing, but I'll keep it brief. For me, I'm like an ADHD brain, and I struggled with this my whole life in school and everything. I didn't feel good in school. The solution for me was doing many things at the same time, but organizing them. In my whole lifetime in school, I literally wrote stuff on less than 5 pages every year on my calendar. I never wrote down my homework or anything like this, which kind of delivered a certain type of thinking, but it wasn't the best. Nowadays, the reason why I use stuff to help me is that I can keep my brain like around all of the places to go where I'm most inspired. And this is something I was explaining earlier to Max, half a year ago earlier. The fun thing that works for me is exactly this. If I'm right now not creative for one thing, I have a well-organized list of tasks and priorities that I can go to. If I'm creative, I write new content, I prepare presentations. If I'm not creative, I get back to some messages because I'm more communicative right now. If I'm tired, I'm resting or I'm training if my brain is just tired. But even my training sessions are scheduled in my calendar so that I have all of the stuff in there and I can organize it. So I have a certain skeleton of essentially organization that keeps me limited of how many things I want to do in projects. And then everything else I schedule with meetings, with tasks, with everything, keeping it organized and trying to use as much AI as possible to augment the brain. And that's what keeping me motivated. So doing all of the things that I love and enjoy and finding my motivation. So even if I'm sometimes not motivated to go to a client, I go to the client because they're going to pay me $2,000 this month to spend in my own app development. So the app development my team is doing, but I go to the client. And then I'm with the client and they spark my inspiration for a new mobility exercise. I film it, I put it in my coaching. It's this, I'm not telling everyone you need to do all of these things at the same time, but having a healthy amount of different tasks that you're good at, that generate the cash flow to other people do the stuff you're not good at.
Yeah, what Torben's saying about the text replacement thing, it's super powerful. I mean, like Franz said, I use it for ATG form coaching, but like it's honestly not. I like what Franz did with the slash. I think slash is really useful because a lot of times I'm just typing text to people. Like I'm like, hey mom, I'm going to the store, and then it's like STR, like split squat regression, and I'm like, oh shit, I gotta delete that. So it just like pops up when you're texting because on Apple it goes between phone and Mac, so it's super clutch. But yeah, you can either, I think building out what Franz has there, it looks a lot better than what is native on the Mac app. Like my system is basically like SS calf coverage, like SSC for like the split squat isn't getting calf coverage. And then it's like I have like literally 1,000 of those things. So
my Mac died 3 months ago. Within buying the new one, within 10 minutes, I was ready to go because I just opened the website, I installed the software, and I'm done.
oh wow, very cool.
It's online, so you can go on to any random guy's device, download it, log into your account, and you have all of your stuff in there.
Wow. Okay. That is epic. Yeah. That's definitely like my guess is Ben Patrick has something very similar to this because the speed at which he gets back to people when you're having literally hundreds of people text you every day, he literally probably has text replacements for like, oh, that's cool. Like, I'll see you then. Like you can literally, I mean, you can use it as deep as you want. You can get it into your everyday life, but I feel like you're going to then just start becoming like a robot and you don't want to do that. You want it's definitely risky, especially with form coaching. You don't want to be a robot. Like you have to personalize the message.
That's like, just to give you some insights, like it's not that I can just use all of this stuff. The idea is to not do it. The idea is that's how I use it. I have a 3-level system of identifying the issue and naming the person, then like trying to feedback the issue and explaining the reason behind it. For the reason explaining, we can send videos or link articles. What I experience is if I can have a pretext that explains the background and stuff like this, that gives a much higher quality response that in my own coaching allows me to also charge much more because I explain it in depth and give all of these things. And there are certain things like, for example, I can say like, hello XYZ, thank you for sending these videos in. Let me get you some feedback. I can shortcut this because that's what I'm using a lot. The feedback itself, I will then again write a lot myself. But for example, I will write on my own, the ATG split squat is just nearly perfect, but, and then the thing after the but is an exact specification of the problem. The issue is the ATG app doesn't allow picture pasting. The app allows you to store pictures, images in the macros. So I could have correction pictures that I use in my own coaching, showing a random person or like myself doing the bad and good form, and I literally paste it in the text as well. And we use like this stuff for links. So anyone asking about links to videos, that's the way to go.
Yeah, videos. I think that's the biggest thing because like that's again what Ben would do. Ben probably has literally he probably has a system for every video he's ever made. So it's, I made this video 10 years ago, but it's a quick link. I pretty much have almost every Ben Patrick videos in my library of his text. Like, so someone texts like, "Hey, I rolled my ankle. What does Ben say?" And you're just like, "Ankle formula." Boom. It's like you don't even have to waste your time.
You just need to find a way to like augment what you're doing. Like I've had a lot, like one of the marketing strategies that we started redoing again is go to a random famous guy, go to their Instagram, go to the little bit older posts in the last 3 to 7 days. They will have unanswered questions. Answer them. Just quickly answer them. Only the movements you know. The answers you can take are from your shortcut system. So someone says, "Oh, my knees hurt, what could I do?" Put it in there. Someone says like, "Oh, my pull-up is not strong enough, my shoulder blades wing." You put it in there. You have all of these things. That starts a conversation, takes you 1 second or 2 seconds instead of 1 minute or 2 minutes. You go on. The ones that get back to you, you start to get back to them again. You DM them, you have hot leads. And a surprising big amount of them, people turns into some clients. It's just shorten the time. Yeah.
I would love to hear you keep talking, but I think Torben's going to hit somebody if we don't move on to him.
I don't want to take away more from your time, Torben.
I don't need to see that happen. But if you want to hang out till after, then maybe if you want to hang in the background, we could do Q&A after.
Absolutely.
Torben is, let me end this quick.